Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of MyYES Weekly right here on YesNetwork.com. I'm Joe Oriema. With me, as always, is Glenn Grandy. Glenn,
hey, Joe.
It's World Series week, and not one Yankee fan cares.
That's not necessarily true, and I've got the Cardinals in 5. Former Yankee Lance Berkman finally gets that ring. He becomes the former Astro to get a title, not Hunter Pence.
Oh, it's good to see that you're interested. I'd like to see what the baseball ratings are after this. So let's see what happens with the Rangers and Cardinals. Blockbuster. And in My YES Fandemonium this week, we're going to check out a blog. And this blog entry comes from ScoFid23, showing why some of the MyYES community users are some of the best fan bloggers out there. And the title is Season Ticket Holder for the Hot Stove League, waiting for the Hot Stove League to start. It talks about, the Yankees offseason, just the offseason in general, the 2011 season, looking ahead, and the World Series. Very well written, very well done by Scott.
I've got some expenses coming up, my mother's birthday, holidays. I've got gifts to buy. Not sure I can afford tickets to the Hot Stove League.
I don't know about that. I think you might be able to if you watch the YES Network this winter. All right. Cheap plug. And now we go on to the forum.
Yes, we do. Our content comes to us from Love the Yanks, posing the question, did the resting of players and the six-man rotation at the end of September backfire and have an adverse effect on the Yankees in the playoffs? Love the Yanks thinks that it did have an adverse effect. I don't necessarily agree. I think the only reason this question is being asked is because the team lost. I think most of the position players did okay in the postseason. Granted, the heart of the order had its problems. The Yankees lost a bunch of close games. You can make a case that CC Sabathia had issues, but Joe, there were some other circumstances in play.
Well, I mean, CC, was a little bit overweight when he was 16-5 in the middle of the season. He came into the season looking a little bit more svelte, and I feel like as the season went on, his weight was an issue. But the other thing I have to say, Glenn, is that in 2009, everyone on the Yankees credited Joe Girardi for how well he rested the starters, the bullpen, and the position players in September in preparation for the postseason as a reason why the Yankees won the World Series. So, you can't have it one way and then come back and say, well, it's this reason why they didn't go further in the playoffs. So I think it's one hand washes the other, and I don't think it's a case. I really don't.
We're kind of seeing a little bit in Boston, too. When a team loses, everything gets magnified.
Right.
It's that simple.
All right. Well, Glenn, it's time for the Tweet of the Week. And the Tweet of the Week this week is from Jimmy Traina. Jimmy Traina is saying, if that Carson Palmer trade happened in a fantasy league, all the other owners would protest to the commissioner. My God. Rest in peace, Al Davis. But that is an Al Davis trade written all over it. 2 first-rounders for a guy who's a little bit over the hill.
I'm going to give credit to my guy, Mike Brown in Cincinnati. Everyone was just criticizing this guy for not letting Carson Palmer go, not making the deal, and look, 2 huge draft picks to help the rebuilding process. It worked out.
All right, and now it's on to the MyYES Photo of the Week.
Our photo of the week is courtesy of Vinman92. Vinman with Bobby V. No, not Bobby Vinton. We're talking about Bobby Valentine, frequent member of the MLB managerial carousel, his name always coming up in rumors, and quite honestly, the owner of quite an establishment in Stamford, Connecticut. Great wings and nachos.
And the inventor of the rap, apparently.
Yes, that's true. Bobby V, dazzling fact. He allegedly invented the rap.
All right, and Glenn, it's time for the video of the week.
Speaking
of managers and coaches, we've got the video that went viral. The reason why nobody even remembers the score on the San Francisco 49ers and Detroit Lions game from this past Sunday.
You saw the exuberance as Jim Harbaugh and the Niners were running off the field. Watch what happens next. There's a quick handshake between Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz, and then this ensues.
Wow. Glenn, Jim Schwartz and Jim Harbaugh, a battle of Jims going at it. It looked like Harbaugh might have been at fault, when he patted the back and did what he did. But now things are coming out saying that Jim Schwartz did some things during the game that were quite unsportsmanlike.
My favorite part of the video is when you can clearly see Jim Harbaugh saying, "Get out of my face." I think Jim Schwartz should have said if he was 50 years younger, he would have...
Larry Merchant, right. And, it harkens back to one of my favorite all-time coach fights with Coach Cal and Coach Chaney, when Coach Chaney just went nuts on Coach Cal in the middle of a press conference. Some of these coach fights are better than the actual game itself.
Bursting into the presser is a great move.
Oh, it's awesome. Glenn, it's time, once again, we have to leave our audience.
We don't really have to go, do
And
we?
yeah, we have to. My YES Weekly will be back.
Enunciate.
Woo! It will be back next week. Glenn, how can they contact us?
Facebook, Twitter, the YesNetwork.com message boards, the MyYes community. Send us your tweets, your photos, your comments. We'll take anything. And if you play your cards right, it'll be here on the show.
You can even Skype to us. We're going to figure that one out.
Oh.
One of these days. Yeah.
Look at us taking the steps into the 22nd century.
All right. Glenn, it's over. It's done with. We'll see you next week. For Glenn Giangrandi, I'm Joe Oriama saying, we'll see you next time on My YES Weekly right here on YesNetwork.com.